Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer is not a television series that I've watched. I've never seen an episode of the show, although I am aware of it. Now, I do have a partiality, if you will, to licensed product. I just like it. I don't know why it pulls me in. Sometimes if I like a game or a show, maybe I'll play the game because I like the show, or if I like the game, maybe I'll go back and watch the show. That's actually how I got into Firefly, was playing the board game. And I think after playing this Buffy game that I liked it enough that I'm interested in the universe. I might actually go back and watch the show. I believe it's on Netflix now. But what you get in this box is a very cooperative game. Very, very much borrows from Eldritch Horror, where you're moving around the board and you're fighting vampires and demons and what they call Monsters of the Week, which is a deck of cards that has tons of different monsters, I presume, from the show. And as you go through these Monsters of the Week, you will then fight a big baddie. Now, there's 6 or 7 big baddies in the game, which are just like end bosses, if you will, if you want to think about it in a video game terminology. And each of them work a little bit differently. So let's talk about this. You've got the variety in the characters you can be. There's, I think, 8 from the show you can be, each with a special power. You've got Monsters of the Week deck. You're only ever going to use 3 in a game. And you're going to have 6 or 7 different big baddies. There's a lot of variety in the game of how they work and how they interact. That can make the game easier or harder depending on which characters you're utilizing. I feel like some have better abilities than others, and that's okay. I like that because then I can let me try to beat it with Spike and Angel versus Buffy and Xandrick, who I kind of feel like are the best. And that might not be true. I just maybe play that style better, and that works for me. And then the big baddies all work very differently, and they'll be triggering different things during the game. And then the Monsters of the Week, you never know what you're going to get there. And those can do different, and they do kind of like fun things, like you take a wound unless you sing everything that you do, or there might be one where you can't talk at all. Just like little silly things. Completely ignore it if you want to, but it does add a little fun to the cooperative game aspect. Now, in this game, you really are going to need to work together. Now, the actions you take on a turn are very simple. Move, fight, search, that kind of stuff. Very, very simple. But when you do something and how you work together. And one of the most brilliant things they did, was if you're in the same spot, you can trade items. We've done that a lot in games, right? That's nothing new. But it doesn't cost an action. So when you have to burn an action to do something like that, it might be better to go get your own stuff and gear up, and they go get their own stuff and gear up. In this one, because it's a free action, let's each go get what we need, meet back where we need to be at, and I'll just give it to you, and then you take them out. Very, very nice. Now, the one thing I didn't like at the beginning of the game was I didn't like the event deck, how these like tests are done. Like in Arkham Horror or Eldritch Horror, you roll the dice and your character may have a 4 in strength and my character may have a 2. So you're going to roll more dice, so there's a strength thing, I want you to take care of it. In this one, it doesn't do that. Instead, once you give up the items required to beat it, then you just flip a card over at the event deck, and if it matches a symbol. There's 3 different symbols, so as long as there's an equal distribution, you have a 66% chance to beat everything. But it really stinks when you flip over the card and it's not the one you want. And you'll think sometimes, well, it all came down to a flip of a card. Perhaps, but that's no different than rolling a dice to me. And I think it works fine. It's clean. It's simple. And remember, this game's on the lighter side of things, so the simpler you can keep it, the better off you're going to be. Now, if you're looking at getting into Eldritch Horror and you want to play with somebody who maybe isn't going to get into the deepness of that, this might be where you start at. I really like this cooperative Buffy game as a starting point, especially if you got somebody who likes the Buffy universe. Excellent place to stay. As you can probably tell, this is an absolute keeper for me. I like this game, and I find myself jonesing to go back to it. I feel like I want to go back and play it more and more, and that is a sign of a great game to me. Now, I don't get the same feeling I do from Eldritch Horror. I like Eldritch Horror, but there weren't a lot of times where I was like, as soon as I put it up, I'm ready to go again. With this one, for some reason, I am. The simplicity of it really helps this game out. I'm going to highly, highly recommend this Buffy game. Some of you that like the deeper stuff, you know, maybe it's too light for you, but it really, really works for me. We had a really good time with it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the board game, 2016 edition. Highly recommend, and it's a keeper for me. So here are the components for Buffy the Vampire Slayer board game. This is a new one by Jasco that just was released. And as you can tell, it's based kind of on a comic series based on the TV show. So kind of bizarre. You're going to get a nice rule book. It looks a little bit longer than it needs to be because they take great care of showing you what all the cards are, which is fantastic. But the actual rules of the game are just a couple pages, and here's a fact at the back, so, and then an example of play. So they did a really good job with this game. Really good job with the rule book. You're going to get an insert here where all the cards will fit in. As you can tell, I had everything in there, and it became a mess. But let me show you what everything looks like here. And what you have is you have an apocalypse track down here, and you have a whole bunch of little places in town, like the Angelus Mansion, the Magic Box, City Hall, Sunnydale Cemetery. So these are the places. Each city you go to, if you can see right here, has a power attached to it. When rescuing townies here, you rescue one additional townie. So these little places can be utilized anywhere on the board. I do want to show you the insert here. Normally there's a place for the cards, everything. You can tell it all came out. You're going to have standees here for the good guys and bad guys. Here's Glorificus and Buffy. So they don't have miniatures in this game. It's just little standees that look pretty good. Let me show you a couple others. You're going to have Spike and Wilkins. If you watch the show, then you may know who those people are. See if I can get them in focus here. You have Willow. This is the Monster of the Week token that will be going around the board. You have Angel. Here's Giles, Willow. You have the Master, Caleb, Wilkins, Spike, Buffy, Xander, Adam. So there's quite a few in here. Here's Nathan Fillion, who played Caleb in the final season, I believe. I didn't watch the show, but I'm told that during play. So you have these standees that will be moving across the board. So no miniatures if you're looking here. But then what you have here is the character cards that you'll have for each character. So this is Willow. Then you have ones for the bad guys. There's the Master. You have Giles. Here is Angel. Mayor Richard Wilkins. The First Evil. Glorificus, Adam, Caleb, and a few more characters. You have Xander, Buffy herself, and Spike. Now these are all real hard cardboard. These are not cardstock. This is cardboard. It's really nice. You're going to get a few evil cards. You can turn evil for one action. It's really neat how this works. Where you just have to do one evil action, then you go back to normal. There is a bunch of event cards that will happen in the game. Most of them will just put bad guys out on the board or put townies who you have to save, and then you'll be using these symbols at the bottom quite a bit for the event tasks. I'll show you how those work when I show you how to play. You do only use 3 monsters of the week in a game, so you can see you got plenty for variety, and these are all people right out of the show. I was a little disappointed that there aren't pictures. So there's Gnarl, Grimson Demon, Egon, Ethan Rain, Mr. Trick, and so on. But there's no artwork for these. These are lacking any artwork, as the event ones really do too, for the most part. You do have some item cards that you'll get. Now these are things that you'll need to collect to utilize during the game. In this case, we have weapons and garlic and weapons and wooden stake, weapons and wooden stake and weapons and wooden stake and wooden stake. And tomes, so holy water. There's a few things. They do tend to repeat a lot because you'll need certain ones. There's the magic supplies. Once again, the artwork is very rudimentary on this. Nothing really to write home about. Now, also you'll get some artifacts, which can be a little bit more powerful than items in different characters' hands. So the Hunga Munga, the Glove of Minigon, the Gem of Amara, Duloc Cross. So these are like more powerful things that you can get throughout the game, and these are artifacts. The backs are very, very close. As you can tell here, the items are purple, and so are artifacts. One says item and one says artifact. Here are the plot cards you'll use for the bad guys. You got Glorificus, you got Adam, that's just a unique name, the Master, Mayor Wilkins. Now you only ever use 3, so you can see you have a couple where you have some variety here, which is nice. The First Evil, and Caleb. Some more Glorificus there. So when you flip these over, these are going to be plots that you'll have to do. Once again, no artwork on this side. Kind of let down by some of that, but it's very functional in what you got to do and what you need to accomplish. You're also going to have a bunch of these little chits that you'll be used. Now these will show, everybody's going to have a number of actions they can do and special actions, and these just keep track of it, that you've used it when you do it. So everybody will have a number of those. You also will have townies, these little chits here. And these tiny chits, there's some men and some women, and they flip over for wounded. They're double purpose, the way these work. And then you'll have a number of chits that are just like your bad guys, either your demons or your vampires. Really, this is the only, other than the monster of the week and the main baddies, these are the two like wimpy guys that will come out, the vampire and the demon, and they can be stunned on the other side. So that's kind of how those work. Those are the components. I mean, I think they're really good. I like the cards, the way they feel. The tokens are really good. I wish there was some more artwork in the game. It's a little disappointing. What you get is fine. You do get standees instead of miniatures, which work fantastic in this game, so no problems there. The rules for Buffy are pretty simple. The actions you can do on a turn are pretty straightforward. Now, there's some little things in the game that weren't in the rules. Like when we ran out of vampire tokens, did that end the game? Or were we supposed to put demons out instead, or just not adding to the board? We chose to just not adding to the board, which obviously makes it easier of all those options. So that wasn't really in it. You know, we messed up a couple of rules when we first started playing, but we were able to sort those out, and that was really just reading. The book wasn't the problem, we were the problem, or rather I was the problem because I read the rules. Other than that, I felt like the rulebook was pretty good. There was a couple questions that I had in it. There's a good fact at the end of it. One of the things they do, they call dust and slaying. They're interchangeable almost with the word killing. So if you want to kill, it may say dust or it may say slay, but they both mean kill versus stun. So you kind of have kill versus stun in the game, and dust and slay means kill. So there's a little bit of terminology, but it's not too hard, and the fact really helps with that. At the end of the day, you know, if you need to house rule something, that's fine, but it's going to be very, very minor that you're going to have in this game. So what you're going to do when you start out is you're going to pick a character that you want to play. So let's say I want to play Willow, and you'll pick a bad guy. The first time you play, they recommend that you start with the Master. So let's start here and show you. So you're going to have a number of actions. You can search in a location, you can fight to stun a vampire from the same location, or you can attempt to slay a monster of the week. I'll come back to that. You can use the location. Each location has a different ability, which you can utilize it if you're in that space, or you can move to any location on the board. The arrows on the board are just for the bad guys, okay? And everybody has a special action. Hers is discard any number of magic supplies. For each discarded, defeat one baddie anywhere, or you can fight to slay one baddie in your location. If you have a magic supply, you don't have to spend it. So everybody's going to get, if you look here on her, she's going to have 3 actions and a special action. And what you're going to do is you're going to go around the board and say I take an action, I would do that and go around the board. When it comes, everybody takes one action, comes back to me. I can either utilize my special action or one of my basic actions. So if I do that, if I do the special action, that's great. I can use either a special action or a basic action, but I always have to draw an event card. So you will always draw an event card if and when you take your special action. And these event cards, for the most part, are going to put demons on the board and vampires. Place this card beside the game board. Maybe do some kind of activation or something. They'll also put townies on the board. Now, what I should mention about townies and bad guys. So these townies will come up, and there's 2 kinds, a male and a female, and they'll be on the board. If a vampire ever kills them, they will come down on this apocalypse track. Now, The townies are also double-sided to showcase wounds. So on this track, and if you get to 13, you die, or the world dies and you lose the game. The townies will never come off. Once a townie is down, they're there for good. But the wounds, if you ever get wounds, they can actually stay on the board and be healed and sometimes come off, and that will be a strategy that you may utilize. Because if this ever fills all the way up to the end, you lose the game. How do you win the game? Well, you're going to have a master, or a bad guy that comes out, in this case the master, and he'll have some powers that he will utilize and special things that he will do. When the game starts, you're going to pick a Master of the Week card, and this will tell you where the Master of the Week starts. Machida appears at the initiative base. So then what you'll do is you'll put the token out of the Monster of the Week in the initiative base. So he will start right over there. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to beat 3 of these Monsters of the Week. When you beat 3 of those Monsters of the Week and get the clue, so when you beat it, a clue token comes out, and you do all 3 of those, then the Master comes out and you can beat him. Okay? When the Master reveals himself, place him in the Hell's Mouth and check for the symbol for every 2 vampires on the game board. For each success, add 1 townie to the Apocalypse board. So after you beat 3 Monsters of the Week, your big bad will come out, and there's 6 or 7 of them in the game that you can utilize. Okay. So how do you play the game? What you're going to be doing is you're going to be moving around the board trying to collect what you need on this monster. Cards, the Monster of the Week. In order to beat him, you need a magical supply and a weapon. Discard these items and then check for success. You can win on Ankh, or you can win on the Pentagram. So what you'll be doing is moving around. So like this one allows you to draw 3 items. And what you're trying to do is get a magical supply and a weapon. But let's say you got those. Then you would go to here. You would go where the Monster of the Week is. And then you would give up these 2 items. Pass or fail, you give these 2 items. And then you turn over the top card of the event deck. In this case, the event deck is a pentagram. I gave up these 2 items, and I'm in the space where the Monster of the Week is. I have passed. If I had drawn this card with the eyeball and the triangle, the pyramid, then I would fail. I would fail defeating him. I would have to go back and get the items wherever they're at and flip another card. Or I can give up one of my actions for the rest of the game. So I would go from 3 actions and a special action to 2 actions and a special action, and I would immediately beat the Monster of the Week. So a lot of the game is just kind of running around trying to get like Eldritch Horror type or Arkham Horror, just trying to go around and get the items I need to beat those guys, and then making that decision. And when you beat 3 of them, so be it. You will then fight this guy, which will have his own thing. So let's look here at Caleb. He'll have a plot that comes out. At the end of each round, if there are multiple unprotected townies sharing a location, replace one of those townies with a demon. And you would need these 2 items in order to beat him. And you'll have to beat 3 of these. There's plenty that come with the game for each guy, so you never really know what you're going to get. But if you beat 3 of these, then you defeat him, the main bad guy. So let's talk about it for just a second, because that's pretty much the majority of the game. Is that you're going to be moving around any location you want, activating it, and fighting bad guys. So the main 2 bad guys that will be coming out that you'll see a lot of are demons and vampires. And they kind of work in a unique way here in this game. What you're doing a lot of the time is that you're trying to save these townies. So the way the game works, after we take all of our actions, then the monsters are activated. And they kind of go through a list, if you will, of how they move. They will always move towards a townie who's by itself. So if this guy had a character with him, the demons would not move into this space first. They would, let's say they were here, they would move towards this person. So they're always going to move towards the townie with nobody there. If this townie was gone, then they would move in here. He wouldn't kill the townie, because you don't want the townies to die, remember? Because if they stay face up, they can't be healed. What would happen instead, because I had a character there, we would wound. And this would become a wound. Remember, wounds can be healed. So you're much better off having a character with a townie. You don't want to leave them unprotected. You kind of know how the bad guys are going to move. For the most part, they're going to move 1 space a turn. So you want to be careful of where they go and kind of plan that out. It's almost like a little pandemic puzzle in it, because you want to see where the demons are moving, because these guys dying are really bad. Now the game gears up. It starts off really slow. You're like, this is easy, and it gets really hard. So this is a really simple game of moving around, getting what you need, going there and flipping a card and making a hard decision of getting rid of it. I really like this game. I hope that I've done it justice by showing it to you. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Who should buy this game? Absolutely fans of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you like Buffy, get this game. You're really, really going to enjoy it. If you're a fan of an Eldritch horror type game and you want this like little bit of a story type game going on, then this will be something for you. But keep in mind, this is a little bit to the lighter side. If you're looking for another cooperative game that works, like you like Eldritch horror, but maybe you want something other than Cthulhu, this may be it for you. If you're just looking for a light cooperative game, you want to play this with your brother or your sister and their spouses, and you want to play a game that's cooperative, this will really scratch that itch. I feel like this is going to scratch an itch for a lot of people. Now, if you really don't like vampires and demons, okay, it's not for you. If you don't like Buffy, you really don't like Buffy, then perhaps this isn't for you. But for the rest of us that, maybe have an open mind because the license doesn't pull us either way. So if you hate Buffy, you're not going to like it. If you like Buffy, it's probably an instant buy for you. And the rest of us in the middle, I mean, there's a lot here. It's a very good cooperative game where you really have to work together. And I think it really, really works. I like it a lot. I highly recommend it to you. Just keep in mind, it's on the lighter side of cooperative, but there's still a challenge in this game. I mean, every time I play it, I almost lose, or I do lose. So it has that going for it. It's not like you're just going to beat it every single time. But I find myself wanting to go back and fight those other guys. I fought the Master, and I want to fight Caleb and these other bad guys that are in the game. I want to see what they do and interact with them. So absolute keeper for me. Go ahead and find your way to this game and purchase it. I think that you'll really, really like it.